The recording has started. Okay, I think I've started it.
Yeah, it started.
Okay, cool. So like I said, so today we want to work on deploying a simple web an instance on AWS using CloudFormation. So this is just the basis for us to be able to understand how this thing works and just how infrastructure as a code works. So if you can understand this, then we can replicate it on our own, and then you can use other tools, maybe like Terraform. So we can also use it. So the main thing is for us to have the understanding of how it works and how it's being used. So before then, I want to teach us how you can create multiple AWS accounts, like I said earlier. So it's easy, kind of. So what we're going to do is let me sign out from here. So even if you have used your email account before and maybe it has been blocked or that, you don't need to disturb yourself. You can still use the same email. So the thing is, you are using just a single email and you can create as many AWS accounts as you like. So this is the trick you are going to use. Now, when you click on, let's say, sign into your AWS account, so you create a new AWS account. So like the way you want to create an AWS account. And you know that when you want to create if you want to create AWS accounts, you will put in your information, then you put in your credit card, in which is going to firstly remove $1 and it's going to revert it back to your account. It's just to test if your credit card is working, so it won't remove your money. So now this is now the trick behind it. So when you are working with this AWS, and maybe you just leave an instance on and consume a lot of credit. So now the thing is, when the time comes for you to pay that money, it might remove it from your account. So if you want to use a credit card like that, if you have like different, like another credit card, I've been saying credit card, debit card rather. Maybe if you don't have money, you can just use that credit card, so it will just remove the money from your account in case you forgot to run your instance and you finish your computer hour, or you consume more credit on it. So if you see that, then you can just open another AWS account, then start all over again, use the computer while the internet was just dead, open a new one. So now this is it. So now let's assume my email is example at gmail.com. So this is my main email account, and I want to create this account. I name it example. So now if I click on verify, okay, I think okay, wait. So now let's assume this is my email account and I use this as the AWS name and I click on verify email address. So you know that it's going to send an email to my email to confirm the account. And I will start, once it confirms, I will start the registration, put everything I need, and set up the account. That's how I did it in the first time. So now let me now do, I have an account with, let me show you something. So I have an account and this is my email address. Let me copy this email address. I already have this account. Yeah. So if I should put this email account, so you know that I've used this email account, let me just say new, verify email. So it will send the verification to my email, right? So it sends this. So do you see what it says to me? Sign in to my account. The reason is because I've used this email before. So if I should click on this, it's going to take me to the sign-in page, and I'll sign with it my email account. So many of us have been in this before. Maybe we have used our account. So instead of it to send a verification code, is sending a signing email for me because I don't need the verification code. So now let me go back. So this is now, if you want to use the same account, so this is what you do to create a new AWS account. But okay, create new AWS account. Why are you taking me back here? So now, remember this was the email I used to create my account. So now what you do is you come to this place before @ then you put plus, then you can put the name. Maybe I want to say, okay, let me just use example. So my email is oluwasegun@gmail.com. So I now put oluwasegun@09 plus example@gmail.com. So now let me put this as example and click on verify email. So now let me refresh this. Can you see? Send me the verification. Are you with me? So verify. It is you. Your email address has been successfully verified.
Yeah.
So now this is step 1. So it now asks me to set in my user. Let me just say example. Let me do example. Asking me some. It's everything. Honestly, I can't remember. Let me use the one I will remember. Okay, which other one? Special character. I can copy this. I hope I remember what I just. Okay, let me see. Sorry. So I'm continuing to the next step. So you now see that it's taking me to the next step to create this. So in this new account now, I have, it won't expire. I have 3 months free. I have all this. So I will set up this account normally the way I set it up. I don't know if you are following me.
Yeah.
So I will just start with this personal use, put my full name, put my number, put the region, put address, then continue to the next step. Then to the next step that I will put my credit card and do, then I will complete everything. So this is how you can, so I can create another one again and say, okay, my email plus training, anything you want to do, just put plus, then the name, just any name in front of the email. So now it's going to be seeing it, everything that you are going to put is going to be routing back to your main email address. You know, like we use this plus example now, and it's giving a feedback to my main email address. So as many accounts you create, it's going to be referring back to your email address. So you are using that single email address to what? To create any other many AWS account that you want to create, and you can use the free compute hour to create it. So I won't want to continue with this because it requires me typing a lot of things, putting my credit cards. So that's going to waste our time. So, but I think with this, you should be able to complete the account, just fill in everything, follow the next step, and the next step, and the next step. Then you have the AWS account. So whenever you want to sign in into the account, you will always use the email I use, like Oluwasegun plus, what's it called? Plus example@gmail.com. That's my email address and my password. That's what I will use to sign into this account. So if I create an account, maybe I say, okay, this email address plus training. So if I want to sign in, I will just use that same address plus training to what? To what's it called? To sign in. So that's how you'll be signing. So you can use a single email address to create a multiple AWS account. So I hope you understand this. So if you have any question, let's talk on it. Do you have any question? Let's Kindly ask a question. Do you have any question before we proceed? Okay, so
I didn't know that thing could actually work though. I actually thought about it, but they created that thing for you to know where you're getting emails from, not to get spammed. Should in case you sign up for something, you can attach something to your email with a plus sign, just so you know where the email is coming from.
so it works. You can see that. You can see all this. These are different accounts that I created. This plus training, this plus production, and I create different elements. So you can use it to do that. It's gonna work.
Nice.
So, and remember, whenever you create a AWS account, always give it a MFM. Give it a 2 MFA, yeah, to secure accounts. So this is the one I've created. So you can see I'm back in. Where is it? What's happening? A minute. Okay, so I'm now in my AWS account. As you have seen. So if you should use that also, you'll be able to create your AWS account and you can start working with it. I think that's okay with us, right? Let me just quit this. So now let's start with the business of the day. So we did the part 1, and I hope nobody has any question. Okay, so now let's start with this. So the first thing we are going to do is we create an AWS account in which you have already created. So in our AWS account, I will show you. So firstly, I want to create a directory that we're going to use it. So let me seed into my desktop. Or better still, okay. So I want to make a directory. CloudFormation, and then cd into CloudFormation. What am I doing? Sorry. Do I make draft CloudFormation? Oh, okay. Copy. Let me just see it into. Okay. So yeah, let me create a file that we're going to. Let me create a YAML file. So let me create. What can we call it? Okay. What name can we give it? Infrastructure as a code. IAC.YAML. Okay, so let me open this in my VS Code.
Excuse me, Mr. Shego.
Okay.
I think you shared only your Chrome, so currently we are only seeing the AWS. So all
sorry.
you're still doing and looking directory, we can't see it.
Okay.
Maybe you should edit it to share entire screen.
I think I shared my entire screen. Okay. Let me stop sharing and share again. Okay. Just a minute. Why is this thing being dramatic today? Okay, just a minute. Why? What's happening now? So which can you see? Which of my screen can see my AWS account, right?
Yeah, just your Chrome.
Yes.
Can you see the VS Code?
Yes,
Yeah.
it just came on.
Oh, okay. So this is what I was trying to do at the initial. So now I just in my terminal, so I didn't do something special. Do you need me to start all over again, or I should just continue? I didn't do it. I just I create a folder, then I create a file inside of it, then I open it to my VS Code. That's what I did. I didn't do anything special. Is that okay?
If you could just start again, please.
Okay. Okay, then let me remove it then. I will, okay, let me remove it then. Okay, so so this is what I did. I want to create a directory. So I create a directory, I call it CloudFormation. So I seed into the directory. So can you see I'm in the directory now? This CloudFormation. So that's what I did. So inside the directory, I create a file, which is a YAML file, which I'll be using to deploy. So I just create a YAML file. I just, let me call it IAC, infrastructure as a code. So if you should look at LS now, you can see that the file is there. So then I open, let me try and close this. So now I open this in my VS Code. So that's what I did. So you can see that it comes up in my VS Code comes up, and you can see the YAML file here now. So do you get what I did? So now if you are working with a Linux, it's kind of easy for you to actually work. It's just a Linux command. Although I'm using Mac, but it's more of a Linux thing, so it's easy. But if you're working on Windows too, I think you should be able to work with it like this. But one thing I do advise that if you want to work more with cloud, you'll be using more of Linux. So even if you are using Windows, so what you will do is just download the virtual machine. If you download the virtual machine, then install a Linux on it. So if you install Linux on it, then every time you want to do anything in cloud, you can just be working on your virtual machine. So that will be more rewarding for you, and it will help you to understand Linux command more. Because if you are working like a cloud developer, you might not, most of the code you'll be writing might be on the YAML file. And at the same time, maybe you are working on infrastructure. And whenever you are working on infrastructure, you must be very versatile with your Linux command, or maybe you are using another Linux, another Linux product. Maybe you are using Red Hat, or maybe CentOS or Fedora, or any other Linux distribution. So you have to be versatile with it, so you'll be able to. So that's why I just download the virtual box, then install a Linux on it, and then you can be working with that. I hope we can all do that, right?
Yeah, for those who are using Windows, that's really easy to do. I'm not sure anybody can have. If you have a problem doing it, you can easily just Google and you find solutions to how to install that. Even those using the recent Windows, like with the Windows subsystem, there's like a, it's easier to even use it.
WSL.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. So I think that's good. So now let's start with what we want to do, the business of the day. So I'm going to explain it in depth. So at the point I've written some code, I posted or I've pasted it on my GitHub so you can access it and see. But I'll try and explain it in depth. So I'll focus more on the explanation and how you can get it and where to find it if you want to work on your own. So now the first step is you are going to create an AWS account, in which let's assume you have already done that. Then when you create your AWS account, so the next thing we do is, so we come and create our IAM user. I hope, do we not know the reason why you create an IAM user, right? Okay, I think, don't let me assume. So now we want to create an IAM user. So the reason why I want to create this is because we'll be working on our terminal. So since we are working on our terminal, we'll be deploying from our CLI. And when we are deploying on our CLI, we need an access key to be configured on our environment. That's when we can deploy on our CLI. So that's what we are trying to do here. So now when we go to our IAM, you click on user. I already have one, but I'll just show how we do that. You create a new user. So when you create a new user, you will use the programmatic, which is this. So this programmatic is when you are going to get an access ID and secret key that you are going to use to configure your environment. But if you use the password, what you can actually, I think you can select the two, but this password is like if you want other people to sign in with another username and password, so you can use this. Maybe I want another person, I have a single, maybe in an organization, and we have a single AWS account, and I want other people to access that account, and I'll give them a particular level of access. So use the password for them to sign. But yeah, we are working on our CLI, so we don't really, this what we need. So so we can just put the name and create. I have one already, so let's just put the name, maybe new anything. So next, I won't create this, I will just show us. Attach a system policy. So you can just give it administrator access, so you can able to do anything that you want. So next to review. So it's already here, so you can just create the user, but I have one, so I don't need to create another one. So that's how you go about creating your IAM accounts. So after you do that, because of this work, what we are doing, so we are going to create a key pair. And the reason why we're creating a key pair is because we want to create an instance. And if we create an instance, we want to be able to SSH into our instance. And for us to be able to SSH into our instance from our terminal, we need what? We need to create an access key. We need to be able to SSH into our instance. So let me just say key pair. I created one I'll be using, but let's see. Let me just go to the seats. So you come to your key pair under network and security. So when we create our key pair, I created one, but I'm going to show us. I don't want to assume that we know it. So for beginners and people that actually already know, no problem for you to refresh. So we come here and create a key pair. The one I created is still loading, but so you can just put the name of the key pair here, anything that you want to call it. So use it rsa.pem5, then create key pair. So you note where your key pair is being created. Maybe it's in your download or your desktop, because we are going to access it in that folder. So I already created one, so I don't need to create it. So that's your key pair. So this is the one I created and will be using for this. for this project. So that's been done. So let's go to our VS Code. So the first thing we do in our VS Code is configure our terminal, configure our environment with our credentials. So now I've already configured my environment with credentials, but let me just show you how you're going to do it. So just do AWS configure. So click on AWS configure. So this is my access key. So I just click on enter. So if you are doing it for the first time, it's going to bring up this page. When you create an access key, you are going to be given an key ID. You put it here. Your secret key, you put it there. Then just leave this in your region. Maybe I'm using ES61. Then you can just leave this as a JSON file. So it's configured. So I'll just come here. So another thing, you can just download AWS extension. Just go here in your VS Code. If you are using VS Code, just come to AWS. So you can download this AWS web service. I have other extension too. Let me check. I think it's this AWS toolkit. So you can download the extension. So it should be it's very rewarding. So now I have it here, so I can just click on this. So you can see that that's my default. So my AWS is already connected to my default. So now I've connected to my AWS account from my environment here. So that's been done. So what we're going to do now is start writing our code. So now it's not something that is kind of hard. If you want to do it, let's just open a new page. You can just go to AWS documentation. What do you want to do? Creating EC2 instance on AWS with CloudFormation. I want you to bring us to the documentation, so you're going to see. So the thing is, you don't really need, it's not something that you know from your head. Everything is in their documentation. So whenever you want to start them, just go to their documentation and say, this is what I want to do. Then you come to the documentation and see how does this thing works. Let me try and see all this. So this will extend the type excuse me, that we have. So now if you want to create a whole like this, now this is a YAML file, this is a JSON file. You know, it's more easy to create, like the way I create a YAML file in my VS Code, I can as well create it in a JSON file, but you know, YAML file is very simple to use. So from here, just what we're going to do is just like this, everything is in the documentation. Although I just want to show us how you access your documentation. So let me do something. EC2 resources. So you just go to documentation and search, then it's going to bring you everything that you need. Let me look at this template statement. Okay, this is one we just visited. Okay. So if you want to deploy, if you want to write your VPC, this is the template. You just edit it to what you want to edit it to. We're going to see, I'm just trying to show us the documentation. This is JSON file. This is Jam. Okay, exactly. So if you are creating, let us do now what we want to do now. We're going to create a resources, of course. So now they are trying to create a resources, and the resources name is the control port address. Is what they want to. I'm going to explain how it's going to work, but I'm just trying to show the documentation. So the resources they want to create is a control port address. So type, this is the type, this is the property, this is the domain they want to use. So your own is just once you get all this job, you just copy this, then change it to what and how you want your own to be. Do you understand? So everything you need. So if it is let's assume you want to create an EC2 instance, you do this. So in our own case, we want to create a web app instance. So that's what we name it. So let me just start with it so you get to understand it. So now the first thing is like, okay, I don't think it's everybody that was like the previous videos when we are working on our serverless, when we were trying to create the serverless YAML file. I think that it's not everybody that's in that already. So let me use that as an example. So the first thing we are going to, let me just copy the first code that I'm going to use. So I've written it in my Git already, my GitHub. So excuse me. So what we just do is just go to it, and so now, so the first thing is our AWS templates format version. So it's also in the documentation. So this is a version we are using. This version 2010-09-09 is the version we are using. So now we'll give it a description. So this description is explaining what we want to do. So what we want to do is just to describe, we are building a web app stack using CloudFormation. That's what we are trying to do. Then you can now see like the resources I showed us in the documentation earlier now. So like we want to create resources on AWS. So now, okay, we want to create these resources now. So what's the name of the resources that we want to create? We want to create a web app instance. So this web app instance that we want to create, the type, okay, let me just go to this. Let me click on web app instance. This is instance IP, but let's check this out. So this is instance IP. This is instance resources. Okay. I'm trying to see which documentation do I use. Can I use a documentation here? Okay, just a moment, let me see. So now, this is exactly what I'm looking for. So now, I said they name it, like, let's say they name it my EC2 instance, that's what they name it. So, but we name it, we just name it web app instance. So that's the name of the resources that we want to create. So the resources is named web app instance. So now type is that AWS, excuse me, AWS EC2 instance. Now property, because we are, okay, don't worry, when I get there. So property, we said the image ID. We put in the image ID. So the image ID is what depends on the location we are using. If you are using US is 1, is 2, or anywhere we are, I will show us how we can get the image ID that we're going to use. So these are our key names. Remember we create a key pair earlier, test key. So this is where I'm going to put the key pair. So it's going to, we are able to go the SSH to our instance. This is the block device and code. So this is just explaining this. You can see that it's in the documentation. Everything that this YAML, that's the YAML file. So anything you want to create, so it just visits documentation. So it's not really that it's complicated or you create it from your head. So like what we are doing here, okay, just let's follow this. So now we said we want to create a web app instance. Then what's the type?
Sorry, Shogun. Hello.
Okay.
Yeah, I have a quick question.
Oh,
so
okay.
in terms of naming the resources, so I noticed that all we have here is web app instance.
Okay.
Then from the documentation, we have my EC2 instance. So does it mean we can name it arbitrarily?
Yeah, so you can name it. So they just name it my. So we just want to name it because what we want to do is web app. So we just give it a web app instance.
Okay.
Do you
But
understand?
the type has to be specific.
Yeah, so we are now the type is what type am I creating? Which app? What am I trying to create? Now, like here, let me see another one. Okay, we're in EC2, so don't you know what? So maybe I will show you another one. So what type are you trying to create? Are you create an EC2 instance, or maybe you are creating another resources on AWS? Maybe it's not EC2. Maybe you are creating any other resources. So it's okay. This is the type of what I'm creating. Do you understand? So just like you want to show what the type you are creating. So now when you create, okay, this is the type I'm creating now. Now what's now the property of this EC2 instance? What will it have? So now I now say we have this image ID. So now I'm using this image ID because I'm using US is 1. Do you understand? So now let me show
I have
you.
a question.
Okay.
This image ID, is it not like an image you already created in your account?
So most of the
An
time,
image, an instance image that you already
you
have
see
in your
that.
account.
So when you create an image instance when you create an EC2 instance, you see an instance ID. You see the image ID, right?
Yeah.
But you don't need to create an instance before you get the image ID.
Okay.
Do you understand? So I can paste this. I think it's also in the documentation, but I won't put it here. So if you go to this link, I hope you can see.
Yeah.
So this website will tell you the image ID in different locations and different instances.
Oh.
So let's assume you are in AF South 1 now. Do you understand? So you don't necessarily have to go and create an instance before you get the ID. So if you are in this you are in this location and you want to create an image ID of this version, I mean want an image ID of this version and this name, you just come here. This is the image ID you are going to use. So
Yeah.
you are in US East 1 like this. You want this. So this is the image ID. So different image ID with different names. So yeah, you can get the image ID. So depending on the location you are, so you can choose the image ID that you want to use. So sorry for my voice, I have cold. So there are a lot of image IDs that you can just select and use. So let's get back to our. So now the instance type that I want to use. We have different instance type, and we even have it here in our documentation here. So if you look at it, we have different instance type from T2 micro a lot. So depending on what you are doing, so you can just select any instance type that you want, but want to use the minimum one. We are on free type. So we just go to in T2 micro. So we create this instance. And so now let's deploy this. Let's now create a stack with this. So now, okay, let me try. Okay, let me just use it like this. So now we want to run this to create our stack. So we use this command AWS CloudFormation, create stack. Create stack. So we put in the stack name. So this is just a command. It's also in the documentation. Let's name it. So now this is it. AWS CloudFormation, create stack, -- stack name. So we are going to name it now. Let's say my first stack. So now which template are we using? Template body. Remember, this YAML file is just like a template that we're creating to deploy our instance. So the template body, we say the file. So what's the name of the file? iac.yaml. So you don't really need to cram the command. You can also get it to your documentation. Your own is just to know how does this thing work. Then you start practicing it on your own. So we say WS CloudFormation, create stack name. The stack name is first stack. These are template body. So now let me deploy it. Let's see, does it work? Yeah. So it works. You can see it's blue. So it has given us, these are our ARN is in this region. So now let's go and check it in our AWS console and see. Let's go to CloudFormation first. So this is just the basis. The thing is, if you understand the basis, you can deploy as many things as you want. So just for you to understand how does it work, how can I get it in my documentation, how can I go about it, how can I put it together, then we can able to do anything. And even if you are using Terraform, it's just the same thing. So you can see that our stack is creating in progress. So it is complete. So Caesar, let's go to it and open it. So what's the resources? This is the name of the resources. These are web app. So let's go to, excuse me, EC2 and see, is it true? So let me just click on, I don't think it should be running now because it will still take time for it to initialize. So, okay, it's running. So this is the stack we created. Let's open it. This is it. Can you see this is our image ID? Do you see? So let's check again. So this is the image ID. It's already created. Is there? So it's initializing. So with that, we are done. Let's go back to our CloudFormation.
So this image ID is the same thing as the one you copied from that website.
Yeah, so can you see what's image ID? Let's check ourselves if it is right. Where is our image ID? Oh, I just saw it now. Okay, so this image ID, right? Copy. Let's go back here. Is it the same?
Yeah.
So can you see? So it will give us the same image ID with that. Do you understand?
Yeah,
so now,
sorry.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so I noticed that the instance, there was no name attached to it. Is there a way to name the instance so that when we open it?
Yeah, we can. Yeah, we can put a name. So that's tag. Remember that we didn't put in a tag. So it's the tag that we name it. So if you look at the documentation, yeah, I think they put a tag. Let me check their own documentation. They put a tag. No, it's not there. I think it's another place where they put the name. So it's, yes, you can put the name there. The tag. Where's that? So it's, yeah, you can put the name. So it's just going to be tag. I think after the type, we are going to put a tag, then give you the name there. And you can also name it so anyhow you want to do it. So it's mainly tags. Do you understand?
It's fine.
Okay. So now, we just create this AWS account. I said, sorry, this EC2 instance. It doesn't do anything, doesn't have any security group. We can't SSH into it. So now we are going to create a security group. We are going to create security group for it. So we'll be able to SSH into it. And at the same time, as we are creating our security group, we also create okay, let's create our security group first before we give it an elastic ID. In this EC2 instance, once you shut down this EC2 and start it again, it's going to give us another IP, in which most of the time we don't want. So we can also create an elastic IP for it too. So we are going to do that now. So now what we are going to do now is, let's modify this now. So since we have given that instance type T2 micro, remember the other time, you can remember there is a key name. Can you see it's even giving us here? So, and what was our key name? I think is Ade, the one I created. I'm using the one I created now. So we have Ade. So now there is something we need to add here, but I won't add it yet because I still want to create it. I've not created it. So let me now go back to it now. I want to create the security group for this web app. So one thing you will notice is this indentation. In YAML file, indentation is very important. So now I want to create security group now. So let me now name it my web app security group. So that's another resources I want to create now. If you remember, those that did, those that did, if you have done a Udacity DevOps program before, you should be familiar with something like this. Especially when you are using, even in Circle. Okay, I think we did this also in Circle CI, but I don't think it's something relating to this when you are trying to deploy, but it's fine. Let's just continue. So the same thing now under this, we have to declare our type just like we did. Okay, I just want to explain, just like we did earlier. So initially at initial, we are using AWS EC2 instance, but here now we want to create AWS EC2 security group. Okay, I'm not written anything. So that's what we want to do now. So let me just copy from where I do this. So I'll just put it here. So then we'll now discuss it. Okay. So like I said, it is in my is in my documentation, so you can always have access to it. Okay.
What's the use of the key name? What's this key name?
So the key name, so we're going to see it now. I'm going to show you now. So the key name, if you want to SSH into your instance, you have to have a key pair. Like a system admin now, if I have my system now and I want to SSH into your own system, before you can access, you need a key pair. So if you have a key pair and your other system has a copy of the key pair, you'll be able to access that system. Using a secure connectivity, a secure shell connection. Excuse me. So that's what the key pair is doing now. But you are going to see it now when I use it at the same. Okay. Now we want to create a web app security group. We want a security group that can allow ingress and outgress into our instance. So we said the type is what? AWS EC2 security group. So what's the property? So this property, this also is in the documentation. So it's not something you're going to cram. So this property is just like a naming convention. You're going to, like the way you're going to name your security group. So this is the naming convention. This is the group name. So just like you want to join this together to name your security group, because you're not using the default security group that is created in our AWS. So what's now the description? What are we trying to do? We want to allow HTTP, HTTPS, and SSH inbound and outbound traffic. That's what we are trying to do.
We both go. HTTPS and HTTP.
Are you with me? So we are trying to do both inbound and outbound traffic into our instance. Now, these are security group ingress. Now, the first ingress is TCP. So you said 80, which is our what? That's our what is it called? That's our HTTP. So 433, that's our HTTPS. Then 22, that's our SSH. So now, what is meaning you are using this TCP? Then we now say you should be from port 80 to port 80. So if you want to connect to this instance on our website now, we are going to put the instance web.80. But if I put from 80 to, let's say, 85, for example, I can connect to that instance using .81, .82, like, let me do something here quick. So if I should copy this and I go to this web and I do something like this, it will just be loading. It won't give me any results because it doesn't have any security group. So let me do 80. It will just be loading because there's no connection yet. So now what we are trying to do now is we want to activate this port 80 for it to work. So if I should put from 80 to 85, so I can use 80, 83, 84, or 85 within that port range, it will connect. Do you understand? So, but here, you just want to use 80 to 80. So this one is for what? From anywhere, you can connect to it. So this is the second protocol that we are giving to it, HTTPS. So with this port, I think you understand this port now, and how it works. So these two from anywhere. So now SSH2 ports, you know, SSH always take port 22. So that is this. So now for this thing to work, if you update it like this, it will not work because this instance is not seeing the security group. So for this to work, we have to come here and tell this thing that we have what? A working security group that I should reference. So we now say reference this name that we put here. Are you with me?
Yeah.
We now told you to reference this name, which is this. So reference this. So it's going to reference everything that is what under this. So now, after we have done with this, so instead of us to go and create again, we don't need to create. So we just come to this folder and change this create to updates. So we just change it to update stack. Then you can see everything works fine. Let's go and check. This is my EC2, of course, is working. Let's go to security group. So in our security group, so we are going to, these are inbound, these are outbound. So these are inbound. So all traffic, I think it's still, let's go back and try and refresh again. Let me go back. I think it's still correcting it. Okay. Okay, that's default. I created that's default. This is unknown. This okay. Okay, let's even check maybe our stack has updated before we go and check it. If it is done updating. So can you see that it goes back? So that's why we didn't get anything. So now let's go back there and let's see what's the issue. Let's go to events. So now the reason is it's telling me that the key pair Ade does not exist. That's why it goes back. Okay, so let me go back. I think I created the key pair, right? Yeah, I did. Let me see here. Okay, let's go back to our EC2. I have a key pair created. Okay, so it's here already. So oh, sorry. It will definitely go back. I forgotten that I have not put it. So what I did here is I'm just putting this under key name, which is wrong. So I have to put security group ID. So that's what this guy will recognize, which is this. I didn't know I thought I'd put it earlier, so that's why I just come under it. Do you get? Excuse me.
Yeah, sure.
So I didn't know I didn't put, the other time I was like, I want to put it, but let me wait and create it first. So this thing it's just referring to this. So can you see the way you can even troubleshoot anything? Just go to the event and see, okay, what's the issue? I see that is my key pair, and so, but I create my key pair. What happened? I go back to my pricing, discover that. So even from your events, even from our events, we could see that this is the issue. So whenever you are creating stack like this, you don't need to disturb yourself. Just go back to what is the error. So you should be able to know how to read the errors. So just go back here. It's telling me .ref. Oh, I know. Okay, does not exist. Then that means I'm making error in my code there. So let's go back and quickly do it again. So I think that's complete. Our stack is updated. Let's go back to our CloudFormation. Let's go to our stack. So it's update in progress. So it's going to finish updating now. So that was why we are checking our security group the other time. We didn't see anything. We didn't know that it has rolled back. So you just quickly come back here and check, okay, why does it roll back? Stuff like that, then you can get it. So it's still creating. So anybody has any question as this is creating, so we just okay, so the same principle you use in Terraform, you use in any IAC tools. because this one is more with AWS, and many of us are familiar with AWS. That's why I said, okay, let's start with AWS. If you can understand the basis, then you understand it. So that's how it works. So some project like this, you can replicate it, put it in your GitHub, write a good documentation for it, and tell people I did this, show them how you do it, then add new features to it. Then it's become a big project for you. So it's trying to clean up the old stack because it's creating it again. So that's why it's update complete, cleaning in progress. So it's cleaning up the old one. So that's how this thing works. So that's how you get better. Just replicate it, add new things to it. If we don't add it, something, okay, maybe I'll just tell us something we can just add to it. Also after this, add it to it, put it on your GitHub, write a good documentation with it, put it in your CV, share, put it on LinkedIn, let people know this is what you are doing. Then it will bring more traffic to you and say, okay, I think this person is doing okay, the stack is updated. So now let's go back to our EC2. So we now see where I'm going to use our key pair now that we created. Okay, so this is running. Excuse me. Okay, so this is our EC2 security. So can you see everybody? These are the protocols that we created. So remember what we are doing here. When we did this, we said join web app security group and dev. We wanted to join this name. So that's the name we have here. This is the security group that is going to assign to us web app security group dev. So that's why it's just a group name. So you can do this one too to create our instance, like the question you asked earlier, the one we are creating name, like the way we put group name. So we can actually put a name in the instance too, like that. So we can see that all our ports are opened. Let me try and see if this will work now. So this should work, although we don't have anything in it yet. Okay. This will not work because it will give us a new, what is it called? This is 149. Can you see that the IP is different from the old one? Can you see? So this is the old one, 253, but the new one is this is the IP. Oh, I can't get this thing off my screen. So this is the IP of the new. Oh, okay. Let me just paste this first. So can you see it's loaded? It has loaded, but we don't have anything in it to show. Can you see? That's why we can't see anything. Okay, but let's continue. Just a minute, I'm trying to get this. Okay. So we have this opened, so we can, they all have the same security group. So now what we want to do is, okay, we want to connect into this instance. Now let's connect to this instance from our terminal. That's why we created the, what's it called? The access key. The key pair rather. Remember, this is the key pair that we created. It has attached this to this instance. Now I want to log in SSH into this my instance for my terminal here, so that I can able to do anything I want to do on this my terminal. Are you following me? Can you see my terminal?
Yeah.
So now from here now, because when I downloaded my key pair, it is in my download file. So I want to CD into my download now. So CD into my downloads. So when I CD into my download, I want you to ls, then let it grip my, let me see if my pen file is there. Can you see that my pen file is there? So I say you should list everything, but search for my pen file, which is here. It's inside my download file. So the first thing I'll do is, because I'm not working as an admin in this, I don't want to give it more privilege. So I want to change the mode of this file. Although I've already done that, but I can still do it. I change the mode of this file. So this 400 means it can read this file. Because if I didn't change the mode, it's going to give me an error. So it can read this file. Now, I now copy this. And now come here, which is, I say SSH, this my key pair. That's why I created my key pair. EC2 instance at, this is my IP at Amazon. This is my website. I say SSH into it. Yes. Can you see now I'm inside my instance in AWS for my terminal? Do you understand now why we create the key pair?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what you have now is it like a sort of VM?
Yeah. So yeah, I can now work on my VM on my terminal. So I don't need to visit AWS again to start working on it. So I've SSH into that my virtual machine from here. So let me do yum updates. Which instance am I in? Okay, sorry, I didn't give it sudo yum update. So now I'm trying to install packages inside my virtual machine in the cloud. What can we install? So I'm trying to update the packages there. Do you see? So now everything I'm doing now is on my own, local machine, but I'm connected into my instance. Do you see now? So that's why I created that. So that's the reason why we create the security group, so we can able to SSH into what? Into our virtual machine. So E2 now, also another method you can do, just that. Can you hear me?
Sorry. So what command is running on the instance? Is it the yum update?
Yeah, just the yum update.
What does it do?
So just like you want to update all the packages that are there, all the packages that are inside the machine, just update it.
Okay, so these packages, they come by default when we create the EC2.
Yeah, exactly. You know, when you install your Windows now, you have all the Windows packages. When you install your Linux, you have all the packages there.
Okay, thank you.
So now, okay, so inside I don't think I will have anything ls.
Sorry, which distribution of Linux is this?
So that's what I want to explain now. So this one is EC2 instance. This is EC2. You know, we have, okay, let me show you so you can able to understand it very well. So I think I'm using Ubuntu now. I'll use app updates. If I'm using, let's say we want to launch an instance. If I'm using CentOS, I will still use yum or DNF. If I'm using Red Hat, I'll just use DNF. Oh, sorry, I think I have some questions in the chat. Let me check. Yeah, we can. We even install any Nginx now. We install Apache. We install that. We try and install it now. So we have different. So this is the one we are using, Amazon Linux. We have Mac. So I think we are using Mac Linux now. Then we can use that one. We'll be using Brew. We'll be using something like sudo brew update. I think we are using Mac OS. So if you are using Ubuntu, it should be sudo app update. So it's different distribution. So if you are using Red Hat, you'll be using yum. So it depends. So the thing is, that's why I say you're more familiar with your Linux command. If you are more familiar with Linux command, all these things, you're able to know how you are going to navigate it. So now let's, like someone said we should install nginx and see sudo yum install nginx. Okay, so this is the command to install it. So that command doesn't work. I think that's for Ubuntu. So let's install nginx. So we are installing nginx now. It's installing. So everything is installed. So now let's go to our etc. So we are now in our, everything we are doing now is in our instance, not my terminal. Remember, we are in our EC2 instance on the cloud now. So I went to the ECT file, which is the package file. Let me check my ngn and the nginx I just installed. Can you see it is there? This is it. Can you see? Okay, let me try and install Apache too. I hope this is the command, but let's see. Okay. It's going to give me the command now. Nothing to do. I don't know the command to use to install Apache. Yeah, 1 second, except I Google it. Okay, so I'm just trying to install anything installable. So just to explain. So it's not that we really want to use it. So okay, let's do something. Let's just do sudo. Okay, let me see if it is there. Let's say tree. So the command tree is not found. So the tree is just for you to get your directory. So let me install it and say, okay, let's just simply do install tree. So you see what the tree will do now. Tree. So let me go to my CD, my etc ls. Can you? So this is my file. Okay.
So is the yum is the package manager or something?
Yeah. So the is the package manager for this. What's it called? This instance we are using.
Okay. Anytime you create an instance with a CloudFormation, the yum is like an already.
No, don't get it. So it depends on the instance I created. Here I created Amazon Linux.
Yeah.
So I didn't put it Ubuntu I created.
Okay.
I will be using apt.
Okay.
So apt will be the package manager.
Yeah.
So if it is Red Hat, that I use, depending on the Red Hat version, I'll be using this, that I use DNF or I'm using Yum.
Okay.
Do you understand? So if I'm like I said earlier, if it is Mac I created, I'll be using Brief.
Okay.
So the tree I just created now. So this is what it does. It will give me the directory. Which one? Okay, let me do this. Tree L2 to give me the two level directory. So it's telling me that under this SSH, I have everything. Like I have this. Remember when I create my SSH, you have a public and private key. So this is you tell me what is there. Let me go and check my nginx and see what is inside the file. But do you understand what I'm doing, right? I'm just trying to use it to explain to us the power and what it does. So here I'm inside my virtual machine in the cloud, and I can perform the operation. Like so, this is the nginx. It's not inside the nginx. We have all this file. Okay, so let me check if that's true. Cd into nginx. Can you see these are all the files that we have in our nginx? Do you understand now?
Yes.
So that's what we do now. So major things like we are in our instance in the in our virtual machine in the cloud. So another thing I want to say is for those that are using Windows, and you quickly want to do something like this, and you don't have space to download virtual machine or to run. So this is another thing you can be doing. If you create this instance, for example, or maybe you want to use Ubuntu, you can create any instance that you want. Let us assume you want to create Ubuntu and you create Ubuntu instance. Do you understand? So when you create Ubuntu instance, you can SSH into the instance just like I did and do anything you want to do there. So like with the 720 compute hour or 70, is it 72 compute hour? I can't remember that we have on this. So if you are using it to 2 hours every day, it should still last you for, I don't know, don't let me give you a number that is not visible. Do you get what I'm trying to say? So instead of you download virtual machine and you want to do a project and you don't have what's it called? You don't have Linux and it's giving you issue. I know there's a lot of issue with Windows Package Manager to install software. So just come online, create your virtual machine, do whatever you want to do there. Go to your Git. From here, you can push everything to your Git, do everything that you want to do here. Is that easy too. And another thing, just that always remember to stop. Even if you stop your instance, it will still be consuming your credit. So what we are now going to do is what's going to help you now, because now, if we stop this instance now, this IP will change. This IP will change. So, but we don't want this IP. Maybe you are doing something and you now pause, you stop your instance, you want to do something and you want to run it back. This IP will change, but you don't want the IP to change. You want it to be elastic. So that's what we are going to do next now. So that's going to help you, because when you are doing project like this and you just pause, you don't want to waste your credits, you stop the instance, then you want to come back to it later, and the IP keep changing, you still keep getting the old IP, excuse me, and co. So that's what we want to work on now.
Hi,
So
Shegu.
now, hi, I can
So
hear you.
the IP you are referring to, is it the internal IP of
So
the
both your
VM or the external?
public, excuse me. So both your public and private IP will change if you restart your instance.
Okay, so the one we want to make static is the private IP.
No, once
right?
you make it static, once you make it private, you're going to have both the private and the public IP will not change.
Okay.
So remember that we created the first instance where we created, then we update it. So it terminate the first instance to create another instance. The IP changes will be changing, but we don't want it to be changing. We want it steady one. You can see the IP now is 49.149, right? If you change it again, it's going to change, and we don't want that. So we want to deploy a new stack now that is going to cater for that. So now we're going to create, okay, before I go, I think I have one elastic IP. Let me try and delete it. So I think I have one elastic IP here. I think so. Okay. I created an elastic IP when let me just try and delete it. It doesn't matter. Then action. Release IP address. But it doesn't matter though. But okay. So now let me come back here. So now I want to create another resources. That's the elastic IP. So let me just copy that. So it won't take. Okay. So now, okay, I want it to be the same. I want to have the same indentation. Okay. Okay. I stay the same indentation. No. Okay. Okay. So these are our outputs. A minute. Okay, I think this is right now. Excuse me. So now I want to create a new resources, which is the web app elastic IP. So now it's okay. The next type is we are still on AWS EC2. Then we create the elastic IP. So what's the property? So the under which domain we are using a single virtual private cloud. And what reference? Remember the other time when I was talking about this reference, what we are doing. So this instance ID, we want to reference this web ID instance. This is what we want to create the elastic IP for. Like we reference security group header. Okay, put the security group inside this space. So now we know the elastic IP will be created on its own, but we want it to what? To reference this web app instance that we created. Do you understand? And so when we, like what I said, when we want to create your instance, you can put a tag and put a name like this. Like when you ask how you can create, so this is the way you can use the tag to create the name for your instance. I hope you understand now. Like I was saying, like you put tags. So this is what I'm trying to look for then. So this is the tag you can use to create your name for your web instance. So you just put it there. So now, when that is done, we want it to output. So the output that we're going to get is going to give us this elastic, this web IP. So it's going to be HTTP dash this our web elastic IP should be the output that we'll be using. So we won't be using our old IP again. So that's why this one is there now. So that's why the output is very important. Okay, we have created another elastic IP. We have this. What do we want to do? Just the output in that elastic. So that's what is going to be giving us every time that we on or start our instance. So that being done, let's update our stack and see. So our stack is updated. If you check, let's go and go back to our CloudFormation and see if everything goes on fine. Okay, it's still in progress. So any question as this is creating? Do you have any question? Excuse me. Let me try and check the chat. Okay, there is no question yet. So let's wait for our staff to create and go and check our last.
Please, are we going to get the recordings?
Yeah, sure. Of course, I'll put it on my YouTube so you can access it. So if you have not subscribed to my YouTube page, so you can just subscribe to it so you get notification. Because during the week,
YouTube
just,
or GitHub? YouTube.
Yeah, my YouTube for the video. So you can subscribe to my YouTube channel.
Please send link, please.
Yeah, so sure. I will send the link to it. So the GitHub too, the link is there so you can able to access it. So now let's quickly go into our stack. These are the resources we have created. We created an web elastic IP, which we just did. So this is the new IP now that we are using. This is the instance. These are security group. Now these are outputs. Remember, so this is the IP that we'll be using. So if you click on this, why should go? Let's share something. Okay, just because maybe because we haven't actually put anything, but let's wait. So these are elastic IP. So let's go back to our EC2 and check something. So firstly, let's go and check our elastic IP. This is our elastic IP. So can you see it's created our elastic IP? This is the IP that is created for us. Now let's now go into our instance. So it has terminated the previous one. So when it's terminated the previous one, this one is running. So we can now see it's 184.252 now. Can you see? It's now the new IP that it gives to it. So now let's check something. Let's go back to our terminal. Can you see that this A minute. Okay, this is our elastic IP 251. Now let's try and connect to this terminal. Do you see that this is different now? It's using 251 now. And before we are using 21,192. So let me try and list LS here. Can you see I'm trying to type, nothing's typing here in my terminal. Can you see? Any question? Okay, so I'm gonna answer this later. Let's quickly finish it. So can you see everything is not running? So let me just stop this. Control C. So most time it might not stop, so I might have to close my terminal and start it all over again. So the reason is because the IP has changed, so it's not seeing that again. So let me go back into my downloads. Then now let me now SSH into this new IP. I mean into the new instance, yes. So I'm now in my new instance now. So does true works? Yeah, we already started, yeah. So now this is the new instance. So this is an elastic instance now. That is created for us. So if I stop this instance and start it again, it will still have this it will still have this IP. So whenever you're working on a project and you stop your instance and start it all over again, it will still have it. Do you understand? Is there any question on that?
No.
So now we can see that everything is working perfectly now. We get everything that we want. We have our instance, we can necessarily we have an elastic IP, everything is working. So now let's try to delete our instance. So if you want to delete our instance, you want to delete our stack, it's going to delete everything that we created. You just come there and use the command AWS CloudFormation. So CloudFormation delete stack, then the stack name. What's our stack name? I think it's first stack. Okay, so I think it's successful. Let's go and check if our stack is deleted. So the stack is going to clear everything, both the IP, the instance, everything. We're going to clear it, everything that we created. So delete in progress. So with this, I think with this, you have actually come to the end of this tutorial, or let's say the project that we're working on. So let's just wait for this. I don't know if anybody has question or any concern.
My question is just I think starting as a new person in this cloud stuff. I think you are kind of joining two things at a time. Like you are creating a virtual machine, and at the same time you are from the VS Code. You are also launching an app, kind of. So in terms of costs, my question is, in terms of cost, how do you know the resource size and all the stuff you launch the app on?
Oh, I didn't get that part.
In
terms of cost, like
yeah, in terms of cost, like yeah, you have a virtual machine that you want to. I don't know. I'm not too used to AWS. I'm used to GCP. So like in GCP, you know this is how much this is costing and all that. Now
yeah,
I need the AWS.
Yeah, so there's pricing for. Let's check AWS price. So there is pricing for each instance and what you launch on it. That's the pricing. Let me try and check it. So there is pricing for instance, everything. You can do a pricing calculator. So something like this. No, okay, this is it on no, this is not on AWS. So okay. So there is pricing calculator in which you can be able to calculate what you are doing and what you want to do. You can see your instances, tell you, okay, elastic load balancer, you can have access to compute, let's say, free trial. If it's compute now, we have 750 hours. For this, the AWS account you created, you can have 750 hours compute hours running your virtual machine. We can create 1 million Lambda. You can create 750 hours of Lightstray. You can create 500 MB of Elastic Container Registry. You can create 500. So that's the only thing that you can have as a free trial in this free trial. In compute, if it is container, it will also show you what you have as free. Do you understand? So with that, you can know which one we have in free trial, then you can know the one you're going to be paying for. Do you understand? So you can also calculate it here. So we are not done. So we can see that our instance is deleted. Let me just quickly finish. Let's go and check our EC2 and see if you are assisting anything there. So can you see that our instance is technically going to be terminated? Oh, excuse me. So can you see it's terminated? Our elastic IP. So our elastic IP2, you can see no elastic IP. So everything is terminated. So all the resources has been terminated. So when we come back here, see I can't able to type anything in my terminal again. So I just have to close it, terminate it, and open a new one. So with this, you can see that you can deploy a simple application. So from the terminal, you can install everything you want to install. Maybe like this time, I want to do a project now. As you open that EC2 instance, you put the security group elastic IP. Maybe you want to work on Kubernetes now. You want to use it to work as let's say as your master node. So you install Kubernetes on it, you install Docker on it, just as we install Nginx. Then from there, you start installing your nodes, your master nodes, and go. So that's how you run it. Or maybe you want to use it to work on a project now. So you do it like that. So it's just the same process, just like you are using your system, just like create a new system, but you're accessing that system online, just like the way virtual machine works. So even with the way you know how to create multiple accounts, so when you are creating one account and your 750 hours is exhausted, you can create a new account to work with that one too. Excuse me, when it's exhausted, you can keep going until you become a master of whatever you are creating. So do you get everything? Let me go back to our Zoom.
Yeah, thank you.
So do you still have any question? Do you have any other question? Or
Yeah,
okay.
I do. I have a question. I'm actually not used to working with CloudFormation, but I've been able to kind of work with Terraform.
Okay.
So I want to know, based on I know that what we just did is a bit of a basic. When using Terraform, you can add some conditional statements to create the resources conditionally. Like, is that also possible with CloudFormation?
Yes. Everything you can do with Terraform, you can do with CloudFormation.
Oh,
the only difference is CloudFormation is only for AWS. So you can't want to deploy on maybe Google Cloud now. I use CloudFormation. No, it will only work on AWS. But Terraform you can use it to deploy on any cloud platform. So that's the difference between them.
Okay, makes sense.
So I can share. So do you have any other question or any other concern? Yeah, I remember someone said, let me check the chat. Someone like, how long are you going to be using for each section? So most of the section, I don't really want it to be more than 1.5 hours, depending on what we are doing. I know sometimes when you are working on projects, we can't say it's going to be perfectly correct. Sometimes we run into an error, we run a bug, and we try to debug it, and we get to understand and learn better. Do you get? So that's how it is. Remember, sometimes when you want to work on something, this thing shouldn't take more than 10 minutes, and you see yourself spending 3 hours on it. So from that 3 hours, you have done several things, trying to debug, and during your debugging, you tends to understand a lot of things. So most of the time, you don't want the session to be more than 1.5 hours or 2 hours. Let's say all things being equal. So I think we should stop recording now, right?
Yeah, I have another concern.
Okay.
Okay, so now mine is in terms of